Pascal, high praise for the Blue Jackets defense that game against Minnesota after Zach went out. All those guys stepping up on the blue line playing big minutes. What did you think of what they did last night against the Islanders without him?
Well, again, we're a team that can move the puck. We can skate. Our abilities to get the puck back and make the next play is really impressive. What we need to improve is when we don't have the puck and closing on plays. But playing a heavy team like the New York Islanders or Mini, our guys are the one thing we can blame them or fault them is their effort. They're trying extremely hard, and that's the foundation of what we've been doing. Now we need to add some components on how we do things, and that's going to come with time. But the effort was there, the intensity was right, the mental preparation was right. So, I mean, the way we've played in the third period tells you a lot about our team. We just never give up. They never give up. They just stay in the fight, and they believe they can come back in any game. So, and RD are a big piece of that. That's a big component of why we created some offense. So I think from where we were early in the season to where we are today, there's a big improvement, and we're going to keep trying to improve that part of our game.
You talk about adding components, and this season has obviously been so important when it comes to teaching. Is it beneficial at all to be playing the exact same team again?
Well, yes, it kind of puts us in a playoff kind of mindset, playing a back-to-back and having to travel. So we're going to play the Islanders twice, the second time, and then Boston twice. It changes a little bit how we're going to do our pre-scouts, and we can really use our clips and what we did right. So it's all those little things that we can use in order to help our team grow. We're going to use them to our advantage.
Does it feel similar to like what you did in the AHL, where sometimes you'd have those back-to-backs against teams in those types of situations?
Last year we had 4 or 5 games in a row against the same team. It was amazing. But yes, it kind of puts you in a position where it's a little bit more of a playoff mindset.
Pascal, any further COVID tests for people, positive tests today for people?
No, not that I know of, no.
You probably knew of Sean Kuraly or were familiar with his game as an established NHL guy. Working up close with him this season, what have you learned about him that maybe you didn't know, or what has stuck with you about the player and his approach?
Well, I didn't know him as a person. First thing is he's an impressive man. He's consistent. He's coachable. He's got a lot of experience in the NHL. He was with a winning team and made the playoffs and a winning culture in Boston, and he brought that here. He's got amazing leadership skills, and he's consistent. And that's, to me, that's passion and consistency. If you can bring that in the NHL, it's something that it's quite rare. The way he does it, because we know every game he's going to be consistent. He's going to be playing his best to the best of his abilities. So the success that we've had this season and the way we've been playing, it's coming from somewhere, right? Obviously, we want to have that kind of hockey and play that kind of, have that kind of mindset. But it's mainly coming from the room. And guys like Kuraly, the way he practices and the way he approaches the games, the way he trains in the gym, the way he faces adversity, that's contagious. And that's what he brings. So I didn't know that part. I knew him as a player. I knew he was a reliable player, but I didn't know how good he was in that kind of part of the game.
Is he a talker, or is he a do as I do, not do as I say necessarily? Like, is he more like Boone, or is he more of a talker?
I think he'll talk when he has to. I don't think he'll, get in the middle of the room and start screaming. I don't think that's his style of leadership. But when he's asked, I think he's going to talk. But his main ways of leading is what he does on the ice, in practices and in games, and to me that's quite powerful.
a really important time for a number of individual players, obviously, this last month or so. Bemstrom seems to be one of those guys. Just how important is this last stretch for him, just to show you guys maybe he can play the right way and be an impact guy?
I didn't mind his game yesterday. I think Bemer, when he skates, and he's got good skills, and he can shoot the puck, we know it. So that's why he's on the second unit on the power play. So we want to see him there, in that position where Patty is, where he can shoot the puck, because he has a good shot. But he's a guy, since I've been here, you look at him in practices, he's always working hard. Like, he's a worker. Now I think it's just a matter of bring the components of his game together and being confident about it. Because he can make some plays. Yesterday, I thought he played a good game.
Yeah.
He was good breakouts, some good rush off the neutral zone, good plays in the offensive zone. So I didn't mind his game. I think he's gotta, to me, my opinion only, I think it's just a matter of creating that consistency and being confident about it. Because if he does it, he's a good player.
Do you see, like, if he were to get more time, just kind of keep at it, like you're talking about, that he'll start finding better areas as far as taking shots and more dangerous areas? That it feels like maybe he's kind of, I don't want to say he gets lost out there, but it feels like you're not always seeing the guy who led the Swedish league in goals. Obviously, it's a different thing.
Yeah, it's
bigger
two
ice
different leagues, right?
Yeah.
Different, like here, the time and space on the ice is quite different.
Sure.
At this time of the year, you're playing against teams like Winnipeg, Mini, New York Islanders, heavy teams, not much time and space. You'll need to figure out how to impact the game, and sometimes there's no time or space, so you have to bring something else. But I think he's got the brain to figure it out at some point, and we see it at times. Now it's just, like I said, just a matter of to bring that consistency. But the work is there, so that's when you have that. I mean, you can only go up.
And do you think the same can be said for like Chinnikov, a very similar type of situation?
Yeah. Well, Chinny, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But for him, just to communicate with Chinny is a little bit of a challenge. He understands pretty much everything. It's hard for him to communicate. But once you tell him, he's going to do it on the ice. Like, he's coachable, and he's pretty smart. He's got a real good shot. We know that. The size of the ice is different. The way the game has been played in the NHL is different than over in the KHL. So he's still adjusting. This guy's good. He's going to be good for a long time.
Goalies are different too, obviously, in the NHL, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a big. It seems like with young guys, you got to kind of figure out how to beat them too.
Well, absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
As opposed
I mean,
to
there's
other
a reason
levels.
why those guys are amongst the 700 best players in the world. Goalies are better, D are better, forwards are faster, and the game is being played different. I don't know if you watch any KHL games, but it's either you have the puck or you don't have the puck. When you have the puck, they regroup and they want to. There's no dump and chase. It's a lot of regroups, and when you don't have the puck, they all come back and D-zone coverage. Not much pressure on the puck carriers, so it's a different game completely.
Yeah, that can be frustrating for a young guy, though, right? Like if like last night, for instance, Chinnikov has a great scoring chance, thinks he has a goal. Guy robs him, and he's just like doing this. That could be. They've just got to kind of keep at it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
he's what, 19, 20 years old.
right. Same for Sillinger too, right?
Silly is a good player too, and they're going to be good for a long time. But yeah, those. But at least what I see from as an offensive guy, and my brain thinks offense. He's got those chances, and at some point he's going to score those goals.
Yep.
Where's Chinnikov's ability to communicate now versus where it was at the start of the season? Have you seen progress?
It's better. Yeah, Gavi is around all the time, and Elvis, so they're helping. But it's decent, but it's just for him to speak. It's a little bit of a challenge at times, but he understands everything. I think he does anyway.
When you say he's going to be good, I mean, are you excited to see what this guy's like 2-3 years down the road, where you say those chances are going to start going in? Like
Next year.
Well, yeah, even this next year, but you can see those things as a coach. You see the positive things he does, and just think about, man, when he gets that little bit more experience and just gets used to it, how much fun it's going to be.
Yeah, and now that he knows what to expect, training camp, he knows the city, he knows how we play, he knows the mindset of the organization. Yeah, I'm excited for him. I'm excited for a lot of players. Sillinger would be one of them. Chinny. We have a bunch of young guys, and even Patty is still a young guy. He's, like we have a young team. Yeah, I'm very excited to see. And he's already so strong physically. He can skate. Our training camp was really hard, and he did really well. He didn't slow down whatsoever. So the components are there. It's just a matter of understanding what it takes over an 82 season NHL, and that kind of grind, the traveling and all of that. But he's a hockey player.
Look ahead and sort of think where those guys can go, given what you see in their games right now. Chinnikov and Sillinger. I mean, do you see explosive offensive players? Do you see contributing offensive players? What does that look like? What's their ceiling?
Well, I don't know what their ceiling is. That's a big question. I really don't know. I think they're going to produce offensively, but Chinny and Silly and all those guys, they're also reliable defensively, and that's we're thinking playoff hockey, right, all the time. So how are we going to be good? Well, first of all, make the playoffs and to sustain success in the playoffs. And in order to do that, you need to be good defensively as well. I know they're going to produce, no doubt, because of the way they play and the ceiling. We don't know how high it's going to be, but they can play 200 feet. And yesterday, I mean, we had a few shifts. Chinny was on the ice against their top line, and that's a heavy line with a lot of skills, and he did fine. So the components are there to. I don't know how good offensively he's going to be. I know he's good. How is it going to translate over years? I'm not sure, but I know he's going to be a weapon offensively for sure.
I know you've got enough to do in the here and now, especially right now as the interim coach or temporary coach. But how excited are you to see Kent Johnson come through? I'm sure you've heard Kirill Marchenko's name, Dmitry Voronkov in a couple of years. You've got some first-round picks coming, this wave of offensive talent that's coming. Does an offensive-minded coach sort of smile when he looks at the future a little bit?
That's one of the reasons why I came here. Going through the interview, obviously the connection with Lars, and the whole thing, to be honest, the way they wanted to do things from this year and on in the future, and building from the draft and having those great players coming in the future. Now, how is it going to translate into NHL players? We don't know that, right? We know they're good. They should be good, but we still don't know. But it's exciting for sure, because there's going to be a lot of skills on that team. We already have some pretty good skills, but we're going to add, and it's like a big piece of a puzzle. We need the right pieces to fit at the right place, and I think that's where we're going. Right now, we're evaluating what we have, and we're going to add pieces over time. But those guys are. I think it's going to be I think it's a fun team to watch. If I was looking at that team from a fan's perspective, I would enjoy watching those guys play.
Don't listen to this question, Bailey, but were you rooting for Michigan to lose so that Kent Johnson would be here sooner rather than later?
I don't go there. I don't go. You know what? The longer he can go in the playoffs, this is good for him.
Great experience.
Yes, like being the key guy at key moments. Like these are the moments you need to be confident with, because he's going to bring that here eventually. So he's got to stay in the playoff mode and be a key player to build that kind of confidence for the future.
You mentioned just a few minutes ago about Laine being young, and he obviously is.
Yeah.
This is like 6th year in the NHL already. Have you noticed him taking on more of a kind of a leadership role on this team in particular?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I've known Patty for a while, as you guys know, and the person he was at 18 years old and the person that he is today, there's been a huge, huge growth, which is normal. But nobody can walk in his shoes, and I need to remind myself, like every day this guy is being asked to score goals, and if he doesn't, like, what's going on? So you can defend, you can block shots. That's what I did when I played. you know, like working hard and winning face-offs. I could control pretty much everything, but scoring goals, you can control that. But the pressure that he has on his shoulders every day, it's something I don't understand because I never lived it. So dealing with that kind of pressure and those expectations, not only from us, but from everyone around the league, it's something that only him can answer those questions.
Right.
But I know Patty as a person, and he's always been a good kid, a good person, but now he's like it should be. Like 6 years later, you're just a little bit older. He's more mature, faces adversity a little bit differently, in a better way. He feels more of a presence in the room. He feels like he's himself, I think, if I can put it this way. But and that's a question you could ask him. But from the outside looking and knowing him for a long time, he's going like this, and he's only going to get better.
He's been through some stuff too. You know, like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, that kind of helps with that maturity.
Well, adversity is a great teacher, and he's been. And right now we're seeing the effects of him facing adversity, and he's a good player. He's certainly a good man.